In this video, we are going to look at the taxation part, wherein we will look at the direct and the indirect taxes, progressive and non-progressive taxes, tax and non-tax revenue. Tax and non-tax revenue. So we should know what is the difference between a tax revenue and a non-tax revenue. The basic difference between the tax and non-tax revenue is what constitutes the tax and non-tax revenue. In case of tax revenue, the revenue comes from the income of the consumer, income of the individual. This tax revenue is imposed on the income of a person. So, a tax revenue is the revenue which comes in the form of taxes. It is charged on the income which is earned by an individual or by a company. Now, this is imposed as a direct tax. Apart from this, there is an indirect tax as well. The indirect tax comes from the value of the transaction of the goods and services which a particular individual has taken. For instance, when we purchase a product, we pay certain tax which is known as VAT, and nowadays it is known as goods and service tax or GST. So that is an indirect tax. So example for the taxable revenue will be income tax, wealth tax, dividend distribution tax, property tax, wealth tax, etc. So tax revenue is the revenue which comes from the taxation part. So when the government imposes taxes, it can be direct or indirect tax, we get the tax revenue. Second is non-tax revenue. The non-tax revenue is charged against the services which the government provides. It can be in terms of the dividends and profits of the company, basically which the government gets, the profits of the public sector undertaking. So these are the non-tax revenue. Then the petroleum license fees, the non-tax revenue or the fees on the birth certificate, death certificate, fees on obtaining a internet connection, etc. Certain fees are taken by the government. So these are charged by the government. Also, the interest charged on loans advanced by the government for various purposes, etc. So these are the revenue which doesn't come from the taxation parts, but these comes from the services which the government provides. Let us look at the direct taxes and then we will go to indirect taxes. The direct tax is a financial mandatory tax, implying that it is mandatory for a person to pay this tax to the government. Example can be income tax, wealth tax, property tax, corporate tax, etc. The corporate tax is paid by the companies. It is very important to pay the direct tax because these taxes are implemented by various laws, and if you fail to pay the tax, then as per the Income Tax Act, the failure to pay a tax is punishable offence. So you have to pay penalties, etc. The important thing about direct tax is that the burden of the direct tax cannot be shifted to someone else, because in case of indirect tax, we can shift the burden of paying the tax. But in case of direct tax, the burden of tax cannot be shifted. So the person on whom the direct tax has been imposed, he or she is the only one who is going to pay the tax to the government. The direct taxes in India are administered by the Central Board of Direct Taxes, also known as CBDT. For instance, direct tax is imposed on Hindu undivided family, an individual or a company or a firm or association of persons, etc. The direct taxes are imposed in a way of slabs. So there are various slabs, like if your income is between 5 lakh to 10 lakh, you need to pay 5% tax or 10% of tax on your total income. So the tax slabs, through these tax slabs, direct taxes are imposed. So what can be the advantage of a direct tax or why it should be imposed? The advantage is it curbs inflation. As we know that when the liquidity in the market is high and when people have high disposable income, the demand for goods and services also increase. There can be a situation when inflation increase at an exponential rate, and so in order to curb inflation, the government usually increase the direct tax rates. So the outcome of the direct tax rate is that when the tax rates are increased, the disposable income falls because now a person has to pay more tax, and when this happens, the person is left with lesser personal disposable income. Lesser income leads to lesser saving, and thus liquidity falls and the demand for goods and services also fall, and this leads to fall in the aggregate demand, and thus inflation falls down. The second advantage is it ensures social and economic balance. This is through well-defined tax slabs, because higher the income, higher the tax you are going to pay. So rich will be paying more tax, whereas the poor will be paying no tax or less tax. And certain exemptions are also there, which helps the middle class and the low middle class, or the people with lesser income, to get certain exemption and to get certain income back. So these were the advantages of the indirect tax. So one is it curbs inflation and it ensures social and economic balance. Let us look at the indirect taxes. The indirect taxes are levied on the price of a good or a service. When a transaction takes place wherein purchase or sale take place, the indirect tax is imposed. The indirect tax value is already included in the maximum retail price or the MRP of the product. So it is not imposed on the income or a revenue of an individual. So it is free from the income of an individual, because indirect tax is something which each and every individual will pay if he or she purchases a particular commodity which is taxable. For instance, indirect taxes are of different types, like excise duty, custom duty, service tax, sales tax, VAT, and few years back, all the indirect taxes, excluding few, were replaced with the GST, or the goods and services tax. Now, the interesting thing about indirect tax is that the burden of the indirect tax can be shifted to another person. So if it is imposed on one person, the tax burden can be shifted to another person. For example, the tax is paid by the consumer to the seller whenever he purchases something, and the seller pays that tax to the government. So seller collects the tax from the consumer and then he pays back this tax to the government, but the tax is actually imposed on the seller. Now this is collected from the consumer because this is an indirect tax. For example, if I go to a supermarket, or if you go to the supermarket and purchase some grocery, so if your total bill amount is 10,000, the indirect tax will also be included in that total invoice. So invoice value. So if your invoice value is 10,000, probably the taxable value will be 300 to 400. So that 300 to 400 tax which is there in the invoice is the indirect tax, which is collected by the seller from you and which is paid to the government. The first point of difference between direct and indirect tax will be the incidence and the impact. Talking about the incidence and the impact, in case of direct tax, the incidence cannot be shifted to another person, whereas in case of indirect tax, the incidence can be shifted. So in the case of direct tax, the person on whom tax is imposed will be the one who will be paying the tax, whereas in case of indirect tax, the tax is imposed on one person but is paid by another person. Second will be burden. Direct tax is imposed on individual, organization, and burden cannot be shifted, as I said, whereas in indirect tax it is imposed on commodities. As I said, I gave an example regarding purchase of a grocery. So it is imposed on commodities or transaction when they take place, and the burden is shifted. The third point will be viability of payment. Direct taxes are lesser burden than indirect taxes to people, as direct taxes are based on the income earning ability of the people. Okay, so if I am earning less income, I won't be paying the direct tax. In case of indirect tax, these are borne by the consumer irrespective of their financial ability. Whether it is a rich or a poor person, he has to pay indirect tax whenever he purchases a particular commodity. Whether he purchases a bread or a milk packet, he has to pay the indirect tax. So indirect taxes, it is borne by the consumer irrespective of their financial ability. And one thing you should know is that the indirect tax is included in the MRP of a product. The fourth thing is administrative viability. The administrative cost of collecting direct taxes is more. It is very, very high, and improper administration, or when corruption is there, it usually leads to tax evasion. That is, people don't pay the tax and they are safe, and that leads to black money, etc. In case of indirect tax, the cost of collecting is very, very less, because indirect taxes are wrapped up as they are included in the prices of goods and services, so it cannot be evaded. So these are the crucial differences between a direct and the indirect tax. Let us look at what are the entities which are exempted from the direct taxation. You have charitable institutions, foreign diplomats, government institutions, religious institutions, non-profit organizations, etc. So these are the entities which are exempted from payment of taxes. The direct taxes. Let us look at progressive and the regressive tax. You might have heard about these two terms. Now today we will understand them. The progressive tax is a tax, okay, so it follows an accelerating schedule. So if your income increases, you will pay more and more tax. So high income earners pay more than the low income earners. Tax rate along with tax liability increases as an individual's wealth increases. So the richer pays more tax, whereas the poor pay less tax. So the example for the progressive tax will be the tax slab. So if your annual income is between 2 lakh to 5 lakh, you will pay 2% tax. If your income is between 5 lakh to 10 lakh, you will pay 5% tax. If your income is above 50 lakh, you will pay 20% tax. So this is how progressive tax works. So higher the income, higher the tax which you are going to pay. Whereas in case of regressive tax, it is totally different from the progressive tax because it doesn't have any correlation with the earning of a particular individual or earning of the individuals or the income level of the individual. So in this, government assesses the tax as a percentage of the value of the asset that a taxpayer owns. In case of regressive tax, government can say that if your income is between 0 to 2 lakh, a person will pay 10% tax. Now here, if a person is earning 2 lakh, paying a 10% tax won't be a burden, but for a person who earns 1000 rupees, paying a tax of 20% will be a greater burden. So regressive tax is the tax which is not always welcomed, and this is the tax which doesn't take into account the income level of the people. So this is the crucial difference between progressive and regressive tax. Most of the economies have progressive tax wherein different tax slabs are there. Practice questions. First is, which of the following tax is levied at every stage of production? Here the correct will be value added tax, because we know that value added tax, if you read the definition you will get it that value added tax is the tax which is levied at every stage of production because value addition takes place. Income tax is a direct tax. It has nothing to do with the stage of production, and custom duty is also different because it deals with imports and exports. Second question is, which of the following tax is imposed by the central government but it is collected by the state government? Here the correct answer is stamp duty. The third question is, what is a tax haven? The concept of tax haven was recently in news and you might have read it in the current affairs or in the newspaper. So here, tax haven implies a country. So it is a situation where a particular country gives tax exemptions to the foreign citizens. So when they do the investment, that there won't be any tax on the investment on their money if they invest in their country. So a tax haven, the correct will be option A. So in case of a tax haven, the investment of the person is exempted from the taxation. In this case, investment should be made in the foreign country. So option B, C, D won't be right because tax haven has nothing to do with option B, C, D. So thank you.